episode 5 of the Wayback Wayne Show. That's right, it's episode 5. You know, if you had an opportunity, if you haven't seen the earlier episodes, episode 1 kind of outlaid what all we were going to be doing on the show. Episode 2, it carried into episode 3 when we interviewed in depth the Sounds Unlimited. I was very particular about that because I was the drummer for the Sounds. And then episode 4, we brought you the interview with the Dawn 5. And now here we are, episode 5, featuring Sir Winston and the Commons. Ron, Don, John, Joe all met at a teen dance in Indianapolis at the Municipal Gardens. They have replaced their 5th member, Charlie Lyles, who was only with the band for a little while and then went on. They replaced him with Gary Crawford. And then they replaced Gary with Herb Crawford. Now, Herb was no relation whatsoever to Gary. I hope that isn't too confusing. That completed the Sir Winston lineup. Let's meet the band. First of all, from Ben Davis, we have the keyboard player, Joe Stout, who also played saxophone, and towards the end, a little bit of bass guitar. Then we have Ron Metallic from Cathedral High School, who is the lead singer and lead guitar player, and also a songwriter, as well as doing backup singing. Next, John Mavesic from Cathedral High School, Sir Winston's drummer. I can't let this go without saying I've been involved with a lot of drummers over the years as a teacher, as a player, and John Mavesic, by my standards, is one of the finest drummers in the entire area. I just had to say that. Herb Crawford came to Sir Winston from Speedway High School, rhythm guitar player, backup singer, and had a hand in writing some of the songs. And then there's Don Basor from Northwest High School, the group's bass player and lead singer, also played harmonica and a little bit of rhythm guitar. Unfortunately, Don didn't get to play with the band as long as the other guys because he was drafted, but the band made the decision not to replace him. You know, they weren't always Sir Winston and the Commons. They started out named the Pickups. Next, they were the Illusions, and then they were the Suspicions. But in 1964, they signed with the Bob Kelly Agency, and they changed their name to Sir Winston and the Commons. That year, they competed in the Party Time Battle of the Band, which they won at the Coliseum prior to the Beach Boys concert. Now, can you remember who they beat in the finals? The Mark IV, the Impacts, and the MGs. 3 very popular bands at the time. Next, they signed a management contract. Boy, this name, they need to have a contract. Woodson Sonny Hobbs. But Sonny, to his credit, was able to get Soma Records, which was a hit maker at the time out of the Minneapolis area. He got them to release and promote We're Gonna Love, backed by Come Back Baby. Within weeks, just weeks, the WIFE Good Guys surveyed for the entire Midwest, listed the record as number 42. The next week, it was number 36. And guess what? It was the number 1 most requested record of the week. Let's see how they did it here on Bandstand 13.
One of these days it won't be long. We're gonna love again forever.
And I wanted you to see the radio survey too here, showing where their record was positioned. The group's representation apparently got so excited about promoting the group, they began to say that they were from merry old England. Check out some of these press clippings. You know, it was only when a high school classmate yelled from the audience, "We went to school together, you're not from England," did reality set in. Another picture of Sir Winston. Sir Winston and the Commons traveled extensively, performing through Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, Ohio, and Kentucky. They appeared at colleges, fraternities, sororities, armories, amusement parks, fairs, high schools, and numerous teen clubs. When they performed in Chicago at a very elite club called the Cellar several times, they did something I think was just tremendous. They leased a bus, filled it with Indy fans, and took them to the club in Chicago for their performances. Now, I've heard club owners do a lot of things to get a full house, but I've never heard hire a band, they bring their own busload of people. I've never heard that. Anyway, that's what happened. They were also very, very active in recording. In 1964 and 66, they recorded at Jan Eden Studios here in Indianapolis. In 1965, they went back to Chicago and recorded at Columbia Studios. That same year, 65, they also recorded with who at the time, WIFE good guy, Joe Light, who was going into the recording business. The 1964 session at Jan Eden Studios produced the hit single, Thunder and Lightning. Remember that? It was on Liberty Records, which was another hit maker label. Here is the hit record, Thunder and Lightning, written by Hoyt Axton, sung by Roger Gautier, and played by Sir Winston and the Commons.
Thunder and lightning. You know the day this poor boy was born, I ain't never known nothing but your trouble. You know your trouble and your hate and scorn. You know my daddy, Lord, he died in the train wreck. You know my mama, she was born to lose. You know my middle name is not your bone trouble, Lord, and my last name it is the blues. And my last name it is the blues. I see a coal lighter coming from the window of your $140,000 home. Oh yeah, but I don't need you people, 'cause a rocket was meant to roll. Yeah, a rocket was meant to roll. Well, now Hungary's my companion. Rolling pain ain't on my cry. All you people, you can pray for salvation. Yeah, but old Roger will never die. Oh no, old Roger will never die. Yeah. Well, it was thundering and lightning. You know the day this poor boy was born, I ain't never known nothing but your trouble, Lord. You know your trouble and your hate and scorn. the cold light coming from the window of your warm $40,000 home. Yeah, but I don't need you people, Lord, 'cause the road was never wrong. Yes, the road was never wrong. Well, now hunger is my companion, rolling pain, they know my cry. All you people, you can pray for salvation, but Roger will never die. Yeah, Roger will never die. Well, it was thunder and lightning, you know, the day that the boy was born. I ain't never known nothing but your trouble, you know, your trouble and your hate and scorn.
I also want to note that the B-side of Thunder and Lightning that you just heard was Miss Jonte Jones. Again, with the music by Sir Winston and the Commons. Well, travel was what Sir Winston did constantly. Here are just a few of the stops. And we add to that more travel. A typical Sir Winston and the Commons crowd. And now another of their hit records. We're going to play Not the Spirit of India.
Not the spirit of India. Not the spirit of India that closes in on me. It's something far more awesome than Eastern charity, and it's manifest in your one caress. The spirit of love's got a hold on.
Here is Sir Winston's catalog of recordings, in addition to the hits that we have played. We're going to give you about 1 minute or so of each of these 7 songs. I want to note, too, that Silence 215, the first of them, was written by Jim Kloss and Steve Lester of the Boys Next Door. Wait You Baby, sung by Ron. One Last Chance, sung by Don. Come Back Again, sung by Ron. All the Time, sung by Don. You Will See, sung by Ron. Sounds like a limerick or something, doesn't it? That's what you think. I'm not certain who's saying that.
Darkness will recede. At last the music fades through the dark stained glass, dissolving into day. We cannot need a man. One more night alone. A 90-minute life. Tonight I'm going home. At the university, the doctors dressed in green, urging me to make my I'll always wait for you, baby. I'll always wait for you so long. I'm a lost and alone, lonely man. I will always stand, waiting for your guiding hand to go on. I'll always wait for you, baby. I'll always wait for your call. So bring your love. You're so cute, I can't believe it's true that there could be someone created to be like you. I want to love and call you mine, and then we'll love until the endless time. I want your love so bad, 'cause if you gave me your love, I'd be so glad. For I know we'll have a Listen to me, baby, now can't you see? Please, please, baby, come on back to me. about me. Please don't go. Don't leave without me. 'Cause I can see by the look in your eye, it's a sign that I love to see now. And you say it's because you're too shy. Well, that's a lie, not that lie, that's a Why do you leave me when I say I love you so? One day you want me and the next day you say no. Someone will hurt you just like you did to me someday soon. You will see, you will see. I promised all my love forever and a day. But you just let me on and then you ran away. Someone will hurt you just like you did to me someday soon. You will see, you will see. It was all make-believe.
Opening for headliners was Common. Pardon the pun there. Sir Winston and the Common. They opened for the Kingsmen, the Beach Boys, the McCoys, the Byrds, the Jefferson Airplane. Here's a picture of Jefferson, and Simon and Garfunkel. One Christmas, they also received a very special card in the mail from the President Lyndon Johnson and his wife. Here is a 4-page Teen Temple article on Sir Winston. I wanted to note, too, that Spirit of India that we played for you is written by Herb and Ron. Sir Winston traveled to Los Angeles in 1967 for a week. They were there to audition for a new management company. They then, in 68, moved to North Hollywood. They signed that management agreement with a group called the Cellar Theater. One of the principals in this new management company was an individual by the name of Maef Nutter, who was formerly the lead singer with the New Christy Minstrels. His company also managed Big Mama Thornton. Well, Sir Winston continued to audition, and then became the feature band at the Galaxy Club in Hollywood, next door to Whiskey A Go-Go. Boy, there's a name. The band moved back to Indy in late 1968. Facing the draft, Joe left and joined the Army Reserve. That brought him down to a 3-piece group, which they continued to play until dissolving later. Now, Liz has got a couple interviews, one with John and one with Joe. Take it away, Liz.
Hi, this is Liz Wilson. I'm sitting here with John Mathesic, the drummer for the Sir Winston and the Commons, and he's going to share some insight and information on their travels and everything. Now, to start with, John, in your travels, I am sure you experienced funny situations. Please share some of those with me.
Well, back in the day, we used to have this roadie who worked for us, and we used to do kind of crazy, fiery scenes on stage. And he came up with this idea that we could wire up a new old pumpkin, a real pumpkin, and put light socket in it and fill it up with black powder. And when he, at certain times of certain songs, he would just push the button and we would just blow the pumpkin up right there on stage. And that may have not been funny back in the day. I mean, back in the day, it probably was funny, but nowadays
Yeah.
I think it would be more troublesome. But anyway, things like that. We used to do all kinds of crazy antics on stage, and especially with Don Basor. He was the lead singer. And
Mhm.
it was a good time.
Working with headliners, what advice or suggestions did they offer the group? Did you have any wonderful conversations or anything? Did any of the fellow drummers offer you advice, or what did you observe?
Well, I don't think that I can't remember a lot of conversations I had with other drummers. Very few, but in the beginning, it seemed like when I was getting started, I would speak to drummers, but most of the time it was just through observation
Mm-hmm.
and listen to recordings. And then back in when the English bands came out, used to listen to Ginger Baker and Mitch Mitchell for Jimi Hendrix. And when I found out, I've read some articles about those guys. And of course, Ringo Starr as well. But I mean, I read some articles, and they were influenced by American drummers, jazz drummers, Buddy Rich, Elvin Jones, Tony Williams. And that's who I listened to a lot because I was more into playing, wanted to learn more and more about different types of drumming. And matter of fact, I still do listen to them. But yeah, that's where most of my influence came from.
Okay, all right. Now I want you to share with us any thoughts you have as being a member with Sir Winston and the Commons, and share anything you think that might be of interest to us.
Well, I know it was a good time. It was a time of I don't know why my generation was able to get involved with the up and coming music scene, especially coming from England. With the Beatles and all those bands, and it was just the right time. And we found ourselves not just wanting to play cover music or cover tunes. We decided we wanted to write our own stuff and try to really, as they say, try to make it. And just like Joe was talking about earlier, about trying going to California and doing some things up in Chicago, and eventually some stuff on the East Coast, New York, and eventually had that chance to go to England, which we turned down, which, Joe and I, we had it over again. We definitely say, no, we're going to do this. But it was quite an experience. We learned a lot from a lot of people we met over the years, all the kids that came out to see us. Matter of fact, we did a reunion not too long ago, back in 2016, and we saw some kids that came out where they were kids back then, and the influence we had on them. And, hey, it was just a great time to be doing what we were doing.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you can think of you'd like to add?
I don't know. I'd like to thank Wayne and you guys for allowing us to do this, because I'm sure there are people out there, and well, let me get this phone. People out there who want to relive the past, but some who don't. But it was a good time to be alive, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you very much. I've been talking to John Mathesic from the Sir Winston and Commons. Thank you for your time, John.
All right, Liz. Thanks again. See ya. Thanks, Wayne.
Hi, this is Liz Wilson talking to Joe Stout from Sir Winston and Commons, and he's going to share some memories with us as I ask him a few questions. Joe, you had moved to LA, I think at 67, to North Hollywood. That was quite a move for your age at that time, but you guys seem to think it out a lot and figure out how you were going to do it and what you were going to do. So it was well thought out. What was your experience, and how did you earn a living while you were out there? And lastly, would you do it again?
Hey, Liz, thanks for the question. Yeah, it was an interesting time. I guess I'm going to back up just a year before we went out there in 1967. We had some friends that had followed the band, and they had moved two young ladies, and they had moved to Long Beach and got employment. And they had made some connections with some guys that had an agency. And they said, you guys need to come out here. So in the summer of '67, we went out to Long Beach and spent a week. And we did an audition in front of these gentlemen. I'll mention two of the names. One of them is Link Weiler. Link was an actor and entrepreneur, and Link was I'd seen him on episodes of Gunsmoke. And the other gentleman whose name I'll mention was Mafe Nutter. Mafe was an actor, singer, songwriter, excellent musician. Mafe today is a member of the Rockabilly Hall of Fame and Hall of Fame in West Virginia. Mafe was previously the lead singer of the New Christy Minstrels, and they liked what they heard and said, "You guys really ought to get out here and full time and let us lead you into maybe some success." They were also managers of Big Mama Thornton, who's a legendary blues singer. So fast forward a year, we saved our money and made our plans and decided we're going to go out there and see if we can make a go of this. So we did. We trucked out there in our van with our equipment and Herbie Crawford's 1967 Buick Riviera. Herbie was doing a little better than the rest of us. So anyway, we had some jobs out there that they had lined up for us and did some single performances. And then they got us a contract with a club on Sunset Strip called the Galaxy, and it was right next to the Whiskey A Go-Go. So we got to play there and thought, boy, this is pretty cool. Well, unfortunately, it was cool, but they didn't pay us very well. And even though we started creating a following, they didn't want to pay us any more money. So the agents came back to us that year and said, "Hey, we got an opportunity. We think that maybe this would be the best thing for you guys to look at." There was a band whose name I just can't recall. They were in the early '60s, a one-hit wonder. And if I could remember who it was, everybody would know. But anyway, they had a song that this record had taken off in Europe and had become a big hit. So some entrepreneurs said, we need to get this band over here and do a tour. So the guys that were in this particular band were not available or not interested. So they came to us and said, we'd like you guys to be this band and go on a European tour and do all these dates, and we can arrange for you. So, well, because of Herb and Ron's songwriting influences, they were more interested in developing their own things and doing somebody else's shtick, so to speak. So we didn't take that opportunity, and as it led to us returning to Indianapolis later that year. But anyway, you asked me the question, would we do it again? Yes, we would, and John and I both would agree that we would have taken that European tour opportunity. I wanted to mention one other funny thing was you had asked about it wasn't particularly a financial issue, but I said, "Hey guys, I'll tell you what, I'll make a deal with you. You buy the groceries and I'll do the cooking," and that worked out okay, and nobody starved. So
Yeah. Now, I understand you recorded an impressive 14 songs, many of them original songs. Can you update it on the status of the recordings, and do you have any future plans for them?
Okay, thanks for that question as well. The first two songs that we did were not originals. They were one of them was a blues song written by Hoyt Axton, and the song was Thunder and Lightning. And we recorded that session at Jane Eden Studio under the auspices of what had been arranged for by our agent and the singer by the name of Bob Youngs, who recorded under the name of Roger Goatee, and he wanted a backup band to do this song, which he wanted to make a hit out of. And it was released on Liberty Records. And so then the next opportunity we had was we did a recording session at Columbia Studios in Chicago, and that's where the other songs came from, and they were all originals. We're Gonna Love and Come Back Again, a song by Don Basor, and the Come Back Again by Ronnie Metallic were released on Soma Records. And that song, We're Gonna Love, I believe it reached number 26 on the WFE Good Guy hot list in that year of release. The next song that we were able to get released was Not the Spirit of Indy, which is written by Ronnie and Herb. and One Last Chance by Don Basor, and that was issued on Nauseating Butterfly Records, a creation of Mr. Herb Crawford.
Mhm.
Then we did some other originals. Those four songs that I just mentioned were also released on an EP by Sundazed Records about 12 years ago. And We're Gonna Love was on a album of garage bands called Back to the Grave about 10 years ago, and another one, No Sorrow and All the Time. Two other originals were on an album called You Tore My Brain, which was a compilation of garage bands that had songs that were on acetates but had never been released. And then you ask about what our plans are for the future. We've had some discussions about someone that's potentially interested in helping us put together an album of the songs that we have at our availability of songs that we wrote, and he's would like to help us to put this together. Whether we do that or not, I don't know. It's in discussion, and what will happen with that, I'm not sure, but at least it's a possibility.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I'd like you to finally share with me any ideas you have as a member of Sir Winston and the Commons, and anything you think that might be of interest to us.
It was a great time, Liz, and I'm sure that you know this from stories that Wayne's talked about from all the things that the Sounds did as well. The other bands around the area that we, I guess, in one sense, competed against, but we were all friends and respected each other, certainly. We had a lot of opportunities to play. There were we were teen clubs all over the city, and there were places around the state and surrounding states that we had an opportunity to play in. Interesting story was, in early times, we decided we needed a vehicle to haul our equipment around, so we bought a 1953 Cadillac hearse. And that became a little bit of an indicator. When that hearse came, here comes the Commons. So, and then later on, we had to replace it with a 56 Pontiac hearse. But those were our vehicles of transportation in those days. We also knew that our favorite club, or I guess at least our base club, was House of Sound, because in Plainfield, that's where we had the largest following. And certainly we had opportunities to play in many other clubs around the area. And some of our favorites were Westlake Beach Club, the Flame, Tiger a Go-Go, and then we also had an opportunity to play at the Cellar in Arlington Heights, north of Chicago. That was the home club for the Shadows of Night. And when we had opportunities to go up there and play, we would charter buses and take fans with us. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing I wanted to mention was, I think one of the things that we certainly felt good about was we had some influence on younger musicians. A good number of them came to our practices and were interested in what we were doing and liked to learn from what we were doing. And we were certainly encouragers of them and of what they could do in the future. A lot of these guys went on to create bands that had some success and were pretty good in the Indianapolis area as well. Those bands are the International Grapefruit, the Emblems, the Knightsmen, the Emperors, the Group 5, Outcasts, and Please. A pretty good list of good bands that we know that we at least had some influence on, and we were encouragers of them doing what they did as well. So
Yeah. Well, perfect. Anything more? Is that it?
well,
Right now?
there's a lot of stories about what we did at the time. We had a lot of fun with it, and
I know.
I know that just meeting the guys, I'll just mention to you that we really met probably in 1962 or 3. I'm not sure what the year was. Don Basor and I were really good friends, lived next to each other, and we met Ronnie Metallic and John Medvesic at a place called at a place, an athletic place that had dances, and why can't I think of the name of it right now? August memory slip. But anyway, we got together, and our first band name really was the Illusions. We later changed it to the Suspicions, and then by the encouragement of our agent, we became the Sir Winston and the Commons. And just one quick little story about that was, we played some jobs that he booked for us at a particular college, and he booked us as being direct from England. So we had our little fake English accents and played under the guise of being direct from Liverpool. Well,
Yeah.
okay. We had some fun with that until we realized that there were some people in the audience that said, well, I went to high school with those guys. So we realized pretty quickly that that little stage act wasn't going to work very well.
Yeah.
So we stopped that real quick. So
Well, thank you for your time, Joe. I really do mean it. And I'm sitting here with Joe Stout from Sir Winston and the Commons. And I thank you very much for your time today.
it's been a pleasure, Liz. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, Liz, thanks a lot for the interview. And certainly want to say thank you to Joe and to John for helping us out. I'm certain in some future show we'll have you guys back. But anyway, great interviews. Do appreciate that. And I wanted to go to something that we do all the time on the show, and that's memories. And in memoriam to those rockers who have gone on into the rock and roll heaven. Boys Next Door, Steve Drybread, Jim Adams. Sounds Unlimited, Steve Foster. Don 5, Greg Nikoloff, Mike Nikoloff, Dave McCowan. The Idle Few, Rick Webster, Dan McLean, and Ron Bennett. From Ronnie and the Rascals, Ron Blackstone. From The Chosen Few, John Casella. From The End, Dennis Rubenstein and Dave Crockett. From Dunwich Records, Bill Trout. From Dino Enterprises, Norm B. From the Whiteland Barn, Don Holt. From the Westlake, Bouncing Bill Baker. And from the Waterproof Candle, Dan Hanley. You know, we've received some more emails, and I really, really enjoy the emails. I just didn't have a chance to put them together. I thought I'd combine a couple shows. So at our next show, we'll be updating you with all the emails since episode 4. Well, that's the end of the show for today. Hope you've enjoyed it again. Please feel free to send us an email, make any requests you want to, give us any information that you care to. We rely strongly on you, our audience, to help us here. So anyway, this is Wayne saying thank you. We'll see you next time.